Welcome to Muslim Billionaires episode 16. You guys already know the deal. Subscribe, follow. And today we're just going to dive into something that obviously is a thing that we always think about. And is always a thing that crosses our mind. And that's achieving or achievements. Now, striving for achievements can be a tough process for all of us, depending on what achievements you've set out for yourself. But more importantly, and I think more specifically, what does achievements even look like for you? You know, from how big it is, but then sometimes we neglect how small our achievements can look like. So I'm just going to talk about some of the small achievements that we can accomplish that quote unquote could look like achievements or should be deemed as achievements, and then the long-term aspect of it and how both correlate. So the smaller part of achievement is what's a small gain to you, right? If, for example, you haven't been to the gym before, how long do you think signing up to the gym and registering to the gym is an achievement for you? Really, it's a perspective, right? Is signing up to the gym a small achievement for you, or is it not an achievement for you? Going into the gym finally for that day and then doing some weights for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and then leaving the gym, is that an achievement for you? You know, I don't know if we've seen this quote, but small gains count too. And for all of us, we don't count the small gains. And that's the problem, right? Because we have such big achievements that we don't even recognize some of the small achievements that got us there in the first place, or even at least in the path of it. So to me, when I look at what does an achievement look like, or what does an achievement look, how does it look like to me? I see it as, I don't want the achievement to be bigger than I am. What do I mean by that? I mean, I don't necessarily that's a bad term. I would say I don't look at bigger achievements as something that should over or consume me for the present day and the things that I'm striving or the things that I'm doing in that moment, right? If I decide to, let's say, content creation, 1 post, 3 posts, 4 posts a day, is that a small gain? Yes, it's a small achievement, but it is still an achievement. Now, sometimes we get caught up. It could be one of two ways, right? The bigger achievement we can get consumed over, but sometimes we can get over consumed with the small achievements too, because there could be a moment where you can limit your small achievements to things that doesn't occur to your dream or doesn't align to a dream that you haven't even thought of. Some people live by the day and some live by the moment. But how many of us live by the years coming from where we are now, but then going all the way back and rewinding yourself into your present day right now? And the small steps that you're taking, how much are you taking it for granted, and how much gratitude and being thankful that your mind has shifted and physically you're doing certain things that can make a change in your life. Small gains count too, right? So what does achievements look like? Now, from a macro standpoint, from a bigger standpoint, how does it look like for you? When you see some of the biggest content creators or some of the people that, show cars and their lifestyle and everything, is that an achievement for you, or is that theirs? Right? Does your goals set out to be aligning with other people's accomplishments, or does it set out to being accomplishments to you? And this is why I say those small little achievements that you're having, there's gratitude in that, right? It builds humility. It builds a sense of understanding of what you're striving for. But if you're not putting anything in perspective and you're just doing it because you've seen somebody else do it and you don't really have a understanding of what a goal looks like, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to get burnt out or you're going to be completely disinterested at a certain point once you continue to fail. right? So I know I've probably mentioned this word failure so much so, but that is the process of how we self-develop. But that is the process of personal growth, right? Failing is a big part of your achievement. And I said that in, I think, a few podcasts ago, but achievements, I think the foundation of achieving something, you have to fail. It's a must. Do you understand success comes with luck if you didn't put in the work, right? But a lot of us want the luck. But the luck doesn't even exist because God has control of everything, the timing, the outcomes. That's not your responsibility to do. That's not the ability that God has gifted you. Your ability that God has gifted you is to struggle. It's to use the ability of struggling and then being proud and happy about it, right? Some people just want the immediate success, but rarely people want to just fight. Fight for the version of yourself and loving that process of it, right? So what does achievements look like to you? What does achievement look like to you? How and what, right? And then what is the small steps that you're taking to get there, right? And are you comparing yourself and using somebody else's goals as to yours, right? I've always said there's the opposite of that too, right? Like if somebody fails and you get discouraged by that, it's such a misalignment to where you're trying to get to, right? Because why is somebody's story of failing aligned to yours? Yes, you can take a concept, you can take pieces of how they took upon those things, but a lot of people get discouraged because those people fail, and then if those people fail, they may tell you, yo, I can't really do that. But then does that mean that you can't do it, right? What does your achievements look like? That's the question, because that bubble can burst if you're not really structuring it properly, if you're not really thinking and protecting. Listen to this, right? If you're not protecting and using the word protection over your dreams and the small gains too, then you're allowing your bubble to burst through other people's failures and the people that are, again, remember I told you episodes ago that there are people that have the jealousy and enviness that they have within themselves, that they practice it so much. When you practice something so much, you get really good at it. But that doesn't only go for only good things. I think we need to emphasize on the worst things too. If you practice lying so much, you get so good at it, especially if you put so many years in it. That comes with jealousy, that comes with hate, that comes with people that have failed. That's where it stems from, right? Because they gave up on their dreams and they want you to give up on theirs. And there's some of those people that are such expertise on that. They're trained to do that so well. It could be manipulative. So as much as you're building, you have to protect even the smallest things. Listen, I posted my first content piece of my life. Alhamdulillah. Allah's gifted me that, and Allah's given me the permission to do that, right? But then when you align yourself with somebody that doesn't see the vision and or has already done what you've done and they gave up prematurely, those small gains don't count anymore at all. In actuality, you lose the complete vision because somebody else is telling you not to do it, right? And they're really good at it. So learn how to protect the thing that you're building. Learn, for me, this is how I tell myself, not only am I building, but I'm learning how to protect. I'm learning how to protect what my small gains are too. Independency, as I mentioned before, is working behind the scenes without anybody knowing it. It's you versus you as a competition, right? You're facing yourself. You're competing with yourself. But the day you start competing with other people or comparing yourself with other people, especially those that have failed, let me mention something to you. You know what the worst comparison that you could possibly have? The best comparison you could have is with yourself. That's it. Point blank, right? But the worst comparison you could have is not only with people that have already succeeded, right? Because you might actually get somewhere if you continue to compare yourself, but down the line there's a long-term failure that's waiting to happen for you. But because you're unhappy, you don't know who you are, you identify somebody else's success to yours, and that wasn't even you in the first place because you just see the money and the glamour and the fame, right? But there's the worst comparison to me is comparing to somebody that hasn't even done what you've done, or at least not even thought how you're thinking. Imagine having those conversations with somebody about what you're setting out to do, and they not only are not contributing or being productive with with your dreams and how you're doing it, they're casting every limitations of themselves to you, right? And then whose fault is it? Is it the person that's casting those failures to you that hasn't accomplished anything, or the person you're sharing that conversation with, which should be, again, protection comes with privacy, right? And that privacy comes with the dreams and the plans that you have, with the goals and everything, right? So who's at fault for that? You sharing your dreams with somebody, or that's limited, or the person that's casting those limitations to you, right? The easy answer for all of us that say, oh, you're jealous, you're envious of what I'm doing. But no, if you're constantly sharing those goals and dreams with somebody, then it becomes a constant issue with yourself. I always say the common denominator of a mistake, if it's you, then you always need to identify that common denominator. If I fail a few times over and over again, if I keep casting the same mistake over and over again, and I see that I'm the common denominator of those mistakes, then you're going to have that reflection. It's only right. But what does the achievements look like to you? And this is why I feel like this conversation was really important to have with you guys, because having to have these big achievements, or how achievements and accomplishments are perceived by us is really important, right? To achieve is to build, but to also protect. But what are you protecting yourself from? And then we have to identify who and what of those people are doing in the process of it. You know? I think we're at fault, and I think this is part of human nature, right? When we see something so big that we just become consumers of it. You know? Somebody that was courageous enough to build such a big world for themselves and be the main character of it, and they've put God first, and they allowed themselves to believe in the craft that they're putting in. We become such big consumers. I don't mind us being consumers depending on what it is, right? Obviously, but it becomes a waste of time if you're not really striving for believing in yourself. Again, we could go deeper than that, and how society is built on leveraging fear and mass hysteria over things. Like, if you think about the news, that's how they distribute. It was bad news because it brings so much clicks, right? And social media has become news outlet nowadays. So, but the only thing we see is the terrible, terrible things that are going on in the world. Whereas, and depending on who you are, what are you consuming to contribute to what you're trying to strive for? Again, it's okay to be aware, but it's terrible to consume something that you're not doing anything about, as well as for your own self-development. How are you going to work on other things outside of yourself if you're out of shape? You don't know what you're doing. You're financially struggling. You don't know how to empower someone because you haven't empowered yourself, right? It's the same thing. Somebody that's out of shape teaching you becoming a fitness trainer. Would you take lessons from that person? Somebody that's overweight, would you take lessons from a person that's that's overweight to teach you how to, or train you how to become a better version of yourself, right? Or somebody that doesn't know how to make money, that's in debt, teaching you how to become a multimillionaire and taking advice from them? Would you do that? No, obviously not, right? But that comes with the same people that when you share your dreams and you don't have an understanding what your achievements actually look like, and you're sharing with somebody that's limited, would you take advice? Most of us listen, though. We definitely fall for that all the time. And, credit to those people that have put so much time in jealousy and enviness, that because they've built such a skill set of that, they know how to be so manipulative, taking you down. And the fact that they take away your identity and have complete control over you for their insecurities or not. And if you don't catch that in the beginning, then it becomes a big issue. But you're not going to really identify that if you haven't really set out values for yourself. And what does that all regress to? It regress to being in a room and talking to yourself. What did I say? One of the best conversations to have is with yourself. Most importantly with God, but secondly is with yourself. Be reflective of who you are. Be reflective of what your achievements and how big it could be and how small it is too. Have humility of what you're doing on a daily basis. Sometimes we take it for granted. God has gifted us, right? Humility as well as the ability of being successful during that day, right? I just recorded a podcast, posted something, posted a content. I got a few hundred views. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And you're saying that a few times to yourself. It's a sense of humility. But then let's share with somebody that has accomplished the same thing but with a different mindset. I posted a few videos. I only got 100 and 200 views. What the heck? I don't even think of the grant. I take it for granted that I'm even posting content. How did even God give you that idea in the first place? Right? See the difference between mindsets? So that person's day is completely ruined because they think of such greater things more than what it was that day. Right? Small gains count too. How big is your achievements? How big can you get there? And how small are you taking it? Or how slow and how small is it that you're looking at your daily gains that you have every single day, right? I just seen, today I'm just recording it, but I just seen a clip of Kai Cenat achieving 1 million subscribers on his Twitch. Now, there's a different discourse of what content he's putting out, especially from a Muslim perspective and Islamic perspective, of course. That's a conversation for a different day. But the essence of accomplishing something as big as it is comes with so many things, right? I see so many people being so influential or influenced by that and inspired by that of what he's accomplished. But simultaneously, we can get caught up with that, right? Because how big of 1 million subscribers looks like on Twitch could be the downfall of yourself because you think that's completely unachievable, so how could I get there, right? How about the story of what it looks like from where he started from to get to that point anyway, right? But a lot of us are not going to think that way, that far, or that regressing ourselves all the way to that point, or even doing further research, you just see that. And some of us just become consumers of other people's worlds, right? And then how does that make sense for you at the end of the day? 1 million subscribers is a big achievement, but it could be so big that it might take away how big you can become because you're not even having to embrace the small gains that you're taking as well as a content creator. He has 1 million subs, I have 1, or I have 0. He has hundreds of thousands of views, I have 1 person that's watching me. Right? Again, it's a different discourse for what type of content he's putting out, but I'm talking for them from an Islamic perspective. If you're out here and you have the ability to talk to people and be influential, do it. God has gifted you something, but God has gifted you doors to open, access to everything in the world, with not only asking God to continue to bless you with what you have, but also the doors that could be opened by just posting something on certain different platforms, right? That's what it is. That's where it starts from. But then we can't be overstimulated from somebody else's such big accomplishments and take away some of the small things that could help us throughout the time, right? And think about how many times you want to fail. The amount of times you want to fail is the amount of times you can eventually make money off of it. Why? Because failures are a lot more common with everybody than they are with success. If all you did was accomplish success, it doesn't even bode well for you financially. I'm just talking from a business perspective. Forget about from a human perception. I'm talking about from a financial perspective. The more times you fail, the more your business becomes more successful and sustainable because there's humility in that. There's authenticity with that. There's originality with it, right? But if you just succeeded every single time, how are you sharing that story with anybody else? Especially if you're a personal content creator and you're building a personal brand. You almost want to ask to fail. So then, again, down the line, doesn't matter how long it takes, because that's in God's hands, that's not your responsibility. You have that story to tell for the younger generation at the end of the day. Don't only time success, but don't time success, but also don't time failure. A lot of us look to fail so much so that we're not really excited about it. Again, there are some people that just want to succeed, and then there's some people, and rarely people want to just fight. So fight for your achievements, but what does achievements look like to you? And simultaneously, be okay with losing, but winning at the same time. All right, that's the end of our podcast today, and I'll see you guys later, inshallah.